Hello. We have a full moon approaching this Tuesday, August 20th at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. As I said in the last video on for the new moon on August 8th, this full moon represents a culmination of an aspect, a very positive aspect actually, that has been with us for most of the summer. It's a grand trine in the water signs, which are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. And as such, as a grand trine in the water signs, it emphasizes or particularly benefits or brings benefit in the areas of creativity, emotions and emotional connection, intuitiveness, and in particular for this one, because of the aspects involved, spirituality. A need to connect to some sort of sense of spirituality, whether you think of it as a divine force, whether you think of it as a trickster force, whether you think of it as all of us, as everything that exists, or whether you think of it as some combination of all of them. I'll talk more about that towards the end, but I want to go through some of what we're in a transition now, as there's a shift happening as we reach the peak of this particular aspect. And as the planets start to shift, this aspect will be with us for a little while, but it'll slowly start to dissipate over the next few months. And as other planets continue to move, there is, a noticeable energetic shift. I think even some people have started to notice it already. Even though we've been having a positive aspect, most of the energetic signature has been so difficult for so many signs that most people are exhausted, and most people don't necessarily experience. It's easy with the Grand Trine also to not necessarily experience it as just positive. For some signs, it's more obviously positive. For some, it's easier to ignore. For some, because of the difficulties, you have to take advantage of it. So it's more that there's still a transition and a shift, and this will bring benefit to many, and less benefit to others. And I just want to bring up the point that when I talk about signs, like for Capricorns it's this, or for Sagittarius it's that, what it really means is not just if your sun sign is Capricorn, but you really have to know your whole chart, and if there is a conglomeration of Capricorn planets, or if other important planets or points like the moon or the rising sign is in Capricorn, those have some bearing on you too. If you were born in the late 80s or early 90s, in particular in 1989, if I'm talking about Capricorn, you might as well pay attention, because there were three major generational planets in Capricorn. So no matter what, this is going to affect you. There's a lot to say about that generation, which I will say at some point. Nonetheless, in this particular time, it has been difficult for the cardinal signs, which are Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra. It has probably been most difficult for Libra, and both most difficult to really feel or take advantage of the positive, this spiritual, creative aspect, and in some ways perhaps most necessary, but difficult to connect to it. As I said later, for Aries, as for Leo as well, there's a little bit of I don't quite get what you're talking about. They're a little bit off on their own trip, and rightfully so, since they have some different aspects to deal with, and with Aries in particular, has had a difficult time for some time, and to some extent at this point is just at a what the hell? I'm just going to do what I want to do, what I feel driven to do, and what's the worst that can happen? A certain amount of blind faith and blind optimism, without necessarily questioning it too much, probably works for Aries. Not that they don't benefit by going a little bit deeper as well. The mutable signs, which are Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, they also face some particular difficulties that have to do with, and in particular those signs probably really have to access the spiritual or perhaps the creative and the emotional support that's offered to them. There's a lot of self-doubt that can be coming up for those signs, and potentially depression, issues with understanding who you are, confusion, more exhaustion than everyone else is facing, even though everyone is facing some degree of exhaustion. An exhaustion that can be helpful, though, because even though you can't completely surrender to it, this is not a time to just plop down and surrender, meaning inactivity. That nature of exhaustion helps you realize that certain actions are important and other ones, even though you'd like to think that they should be important, they just have to go by the wayside. That's true for all the signs, in particular for the ones that I mentioned. But the exhausting, that aspect of the signature is true for everyone, and the need for a certain kind of surrender to not to inactivity, but to listening within and really paying attention to and finding the balance between the internal and the external signals of what to do and how to do it. This is most difficult for the signs that feel pushed on their own agenda, or for the people that feel that they have an agenda, an unavoidable agenda that they must accomplish on a certain time. But even so, even with those, your agenda will be best served by paying attention and as they say in the I Ching, the wise retreat is a wise move at some points. The earth signs, the water signs probably have it easiest right now, with the possible exception of Pisces, which can go back and forth from feeling transcendent and connected to everything and feeling completely confused about everything in their life. For Pisces, it's particularly important to work with the energies and to try to ground yourself and not just like fall into your own private little world of whatever, illusion, delusion, some sort of magic realm. Earth signs probably next have it easiest, although, as I said, each of those has their own difficulties. Capricorn, as I mentioned, Virgo, and Taurus as one of the fixed signs, which are Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. The fixed signs are, they also have certain issues and struggles that have to do with Saturn. And, feeling it for them, the issues of work and the sense of difficulty and the sense of having to really question, too, what they do and how they do it. That's very, they may be feeling more the work aspect of it and the need for that. See, Aquarius. Aquarius is another sign, like Libra, that is probably not getting as much help as they might like. Although Aquarius, too, can take the attitude of like Aries, like, what the fuck, I'll just do whatever seems appropriate to do. For all the signs, as I said, there's a need to look within, to listen to the intuitive messages that come up, even if it's easy to disagree with them intellectually, and to really think about what force it is that that connects us or guides us or creates the world. Whether you think that it's, again, a beneficent force or a trickster force, whether you feel angry at that force and mistrustful of it, with the sense of a change coming, it can be easy to feel mistrustful. Can you trust this change? Can you trust that you're not going to be like pulled by the nose and dropped down the chute again? And it is hard to know. But I think that it's good to think of whatever that force is, the force that connects us all, that we all are part of, that when you feel connected to it, it feels good. And given all that's been happening, you may feel that that's not trustworthy. But one can think of it like playing a game of hide and seek. Even when you don't see or feel the force, it's there. It's just playing a game with you. And if the more you can hold on to that awareness as you go through the, the questions and issues that arise in the coming few weeks, and then the shift that's happening with all the benefits that it brings and with the new issues that it brings, the more you can connect to that, the more fun you'll have with whatever is going on. Have a great few weeks, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.